Master your vices of pride, laziness, gluttony, lust, avarice. Since sin entered the world, human beings have been subject to being controlled by these vices. We all have them, and many of us have fallen into their traps. This explains why countless thinkers throughout the history of humanity have addressed this topic. Addictions awaken the irrational part of us, cloud our judgment, and lead us to give in to our lowest desires. Sometimes they even overwhelm our reason, leading us to believe that addiction is not as harmful as it seems. Stoicism, as you may already know, stands out as a critical doctrine in relation to addictions. Stoics believe that vices nullify man's reason and freedom, making him similar to an animal dominated by his instincts and desires. It is important to remember that Stoic philosophy is a constant effort to cultivate virtue, moving away from vices and seeking a full and happy life. Addiction, as many have experienced, makes us deeply unhappy, providing fleeting and temporary satisfaction that, when it disappears, leaves only suffering, anguish, and unhappiness. It seems to complete us, but in reality, it empties our soul, leaving a wound that only virtue can heal. Marco Aurelio stated that addiction is its own punishment and is destined to self-destruction. On the other hand, virtue is the best defense against vice. I will try to help you become master of yourself, control your addictions, and, ultimately, be more virtuous and happy. First, I will explain what addiction is from a Stoic perspective. Then, I will offer 10 pieces of advice to combat vice through virtue. I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel to support growth and allow us to continue sharing more of the Stoic philosophy. For the Stoics, addiction is a behavior that is morally incorrect and harmful to the person who practices it. It is an affliction of the soul that distorts judgment, causes suffering, and undermines inner peace. Examples of vices include vanity, anger, fear, lust, avarice, among others. Aurelio explained that the greatest vice is ignorance, followed by a lack of self-control. Vices result from errors in judgment resulting from the poor exercise of the virtue of wisdom. When we are dominated by addiction, our understanding makes wrong decisions, prioritizing momentary pleasure to the detriment of true happiness. This makes us more like animals than human beings, renouncing reason, freedom, and love for ourselves and humanity. Addiction makes us dependent and manipulable, turning us into slaves of our passions. Therefore, it is essential to fight daily to practice virtue, become more rational, serene, and progressively renounce vices. This allows us to gain mastery over ourselves, an arduous task, but necessary to achieve true happiness. If achieving full happiness were simple, it wouldn't have as much value and wouldn't be as wonderful. If you think like the Stoics, it is very likely that you agree with all of these conceptions. However, you will certainly wonder about the practical measures you can take to overcome your daily addictions and where to start. This is exactly what I will address in the second part of this video, where I will share some guidelines for combating the tyranny of vices and cultivating virtue. The first step is to know yourself deeply, because to fight something, you need to understand what you are fighting against. Therefore, take a moment to carefully reflect on your weaknesses and vices. Deep down, we all know what they are, for they are the cause of our turmoil and unhappiness, like greed, lust, and selfishness. Recognizing these weaknesses and being clear about what you want to combat is essential. Remember that the journey to overcoming addictions is long and challenging, as these habits are deeply rooted in our hearts. During this journey, relapses are likely, which is perfectly natural. The most important thing is not to give up and always return to the fight to abandon these addictions. With persistence, the day will certainly come when you will have completely overcome them. To stay motivated, think about the valuable reasons that made you want to quit your addiction. The pursuit of happiness is the main reason, but each person may have personal reasons, such as saving money, taking care of their health, or improving relationships. Keep these reasons in mind, especially in difficult times, and remember that they are infinitely more valuable than the addictions you have succumbed to. Set realistic and challenging goals. Be ambitious but also realistic when setting your goals. It doesn't have to be easy, but it also shouldn't be impossible. It is essential to believe that you are capable of achieving these goals, even if the journey is arduous. Start gradually, especially if you are deeply involved in addiction. You can set progressive goals each day, week, or month, advancing step by step. Like ants accumulate grain by grain until they form a mountain, as Marcus Aurelius said. Virtue is not achieved overnight, it is the result of a constant effort to control vices. Avoid risky situations that could lead you back to addictions. If you know your weaknesses and vices, modify your habits and environment to avoid temptations. Be brave and remember that every sacrifice is worth it. Stay away from those who encourage you to become addicted, as those who do so are not seeking your well-being. Value yourself and others by distancing yourself from those who lead you to addiction. Remember that harming yourself and others is counterproductive and shows a lack of self-love. Finally, always seek good and virtue, as controlling vices is not only a matter of personal improvement, but also a service to society and the world. In short, overcoming addictions is the path to greatness and wisdom, the key to achieving freedom and inner peace. True greatness lies in overcoming vices and cultivating virtue. I hope these words inspire and help you reflect on the Stoic doctrine in relation to the control of addictions. If you are struggling with an addiction, remember that it is possible to overcome it with effort and determination. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. This will help the channel grow and share more videos about Stoic wisdom. I wish you strength and success on this journey.